up, Internet? Do you know what it feels like to be strangled to death? My name is Matthew Kroll.
My name is Shahir Dowd, and nope, I think I'm going to leave.
No, what? No, you can't leave. This is the only podcast about movies, specifically the film Ouija Origins of Evil.
Can I just put this on the record that I'm very uncomfortable right now?
Yeah, you should be. We have a special Halloween guest in the studio, Shahir.
Wait, who? Oh my God.
He just appeared in a puff of red and black mist. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, author, stage director, longtime MTV cohort of mine, and partner in old-timey movie reviewing from way back in the day.
Wait, do you guys do that in an old-timey voice?
Mr. Steven Van Patten.
Thank you. Thank you.
SVP
was
in the building.
Quite the intro.
Hey, we have quite the history, my
You
friend.
look disappointed. You look disappointed before we even started. Is it us or the movie?
Yeah,
what's happening?
did we hurt something? Did we not do something right?
No, we're all good. We're all good.
Perhaps because it's late at night.
It is. Well, we had to do the spooky episode late.
I know.
Because
But did we have to light the candles and be in our underwear? I don't know what's happening, man.
Yes. You did. You told me that, and I was like, I'm not going to argue with the man.
Okay.
However you celebrate
Steve, I
this.
You still got your pants on.
Because
I figured you were just going as like you were going like as Flea for Halloween.
Okay, yeah, no, I could rock the Red Hot Chili Peppers. See, I'm cool, I'm hip. I know what your references are.
Please put your Red Hot Chili Peppers away.
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, real good. How you guys doing?
Good. Something I didn't bring up in your laundry list of accomplishments is SVP, you have a podcast now. You have your own podcast you've been doing for a little bit.
I know. It's a little nuts.
What's it about?
Well, it's basically myself and two other gentlemen well-versed in nerd culture and horror and science fiction and everything else like that. And we call it Beef, Wine, and Shenanigans.
I like it.
Beef, Wine, and Shenanigans.
Yes.
That sounds like a great Sunday night.
What was your last episode about?
Oh, what are we talking about? Last episode was sort of a philosophical breakdown of Batman fans versus Superman fans.
Ooh.
We talked about
Can't we be
The
both?
Exorcist.
You just talked about The Exorcist?
The TV show, yes.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the TV show. Because that's what we were going to talk about,
Well,
right?
Ouija Origins of Evil. What we're doing.
Before that,
Oh, God, before that, what?
There's a before that.
if you want to get in touch with us and you like what we do, you can reach us on our website at onlymoviepodcast.com or hit us up directly via email at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or on our Twitter handle, which is at onlymoviepod. Steve, how can we find your podcast?
There's a Facebook page, Beef, Wine, and Shenanigans, and it's on Blog Talk. It's also syndicated on WMEL.com. And
nice.
We're...
How are them syndicated dollars coming in?
They're not.
Very slowly.
All those
Very
podcast
slowly.
dollars we're just reaping in.
Oh, my God.
Now, this movie, the way it sort of came about, at least in my head, I didn't quite know where it was coming from. Eventually, I found out it was actually a sequel. And the synopsis for the sequel, we're going to talk about how that almost is a mystery in itself in a moment. But the synopsis so far, based on lovely IMDb, is in 1965, that's right, we have a period piece, Los Angeles, a widowed mother and her two daughters add a new stunt to bolster their seance scam business and unwittingly invite authentic evil into their home.
Because it would be unfair if they invited
Inauthentic evil. When the youngest daughter is overtaken by a merciless spirit, the family confronts unthinkable fears to save her and send her possessor back to the other side. It would have been true had it just lost that second sentence, I think. It's pretty, that would be a fair synopsis, and then I don't know.
It's fairly accurate. It's just that, this devil being, this merciless spirit and doing unthinkable things is kind of hilarious to me that it's in the synopsis.
Of course.
It's so obvious.
Yes.
Has anyone seen the original?
No.
No.
But no, so I was so confused because I went and saw it this morning, and I walked out and my friends were like, yeah, it was way better than the original. And I was like, oh, is this a remake? And they're like, no, it's a sequel. It takes place in the same house in present day, not 1965. And they said it was basically the same film, but this film had characters and a plot. Like before it was just like kids in a house that get fucked up by this thing. And nothing is ever explained. Not that everything is explained in this film, but at least you have a bit of a backstory to sort of follow along with the adventure that these people are sort of this horror thing that is going on with these characters.
Right. I mean, it does explain itself to
enough.
Yeah.
Horror movie standard. But I couldn't picture this with less explanation. SVP, first impressions of this film. Just what when you going into it, what were you thinking, and then how did you feel?
Why'd you want us to see it?
Well,
why did you do this to us? Because it's spooky.
Well, yes. I mean, in the midst of having a podcast myself now and everything, it's and just being who I am, I like to keep on top of newest, latest horror stuff. That being said, I felt like this movie was definitely going to be following along the same kind of vein as The Conjuring, Conjuring 2, and Annabelle, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All those reasonably successful movies of recent time. It definitely tries to follow down that same road.
Sure.
But it also felt kind of predictable and flat in the end. For me, I'm just saying.
Okay,
fair enough. Shahir, what about you? What'd you think?
So I have a couple of things when it comes to horror movies, which is one, horror movies to me, my basic requirement from a horror movie is that I get a jump scare. Like I just want genuine jump scares. I want to be scared and I want to feel tension and I want to feel that creeping, oh God, something's about to happen kind of feeling.
Right.
So that's one. Movie, I would say this is going to be a little bit of a surprising review from me, I think, which is that the movie...
Listen, he's already telling us how surprised we're going to be.
Is that
So you're breaking your horror movie rule by...
No, I did enjoy the sort of visceral thrills, and watching it with an audience was kind of enjoyable. Then the second thing that I like is when a horror film gives me some kind of context that makes that jump scare meaningful.
Sure.
And I think a film like The Conjuring does that really well.
Yeah.
One of my favorite horror films in the last 10 to 15 years is The Descent, which I think does that
very good.
really, really well.
Kind of breaks apart by the end, but the feeling sort of stays with you.
Yeah. Well, it depends which ending you saw, and I don't know if we want to go down the rabbit hole of The Descent.
No, there's multiple endings of The Descent. Yeah. I don't think it matters. Basically, the whole third act I have a problem with. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Let's not talk about that. But we should do The Descent at some point. So I actually surprisingly enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the experience. I agree with SVP that I think it falls apart in the third act. Mm-hmm. But the weird thing to me is that what I'm really curious about is Blumhouse Pictures, who bought this property based on the board game.
Does Milton Bradley still own the board game?
Well, that's the thing. I'm wondering if what what it feels like to me happened in this scenario, and this is not based on any empirical evidence, just by watching the movie.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. It feels like they had this horror script come in about a house where you realize that there's some kind of demonic evil in this house. Sure. And then they also got the rights to the Ouija board game, and they were like, how can we marry these two things together and make a movie out of it? So it kind of feels like they had this one horror film and then the board game and kind of jammed them together.
Sure, I can see that.
And that's what it felt like.
Because there's nothing specific. I mean, we'll get into one specific thing later on when we get further down the plot that sort of ties sort of why the evil is available to do what it wants to do.
Only via the Ouija board, even though that this family's been living there for a while.
And faking seances. I guess because it's fake.
And it's not even a special Ouija board. It's like
it's literally off the shelf.
They just picked one off the shelf.
But there's a couple, I think a 99% Invisible, another great podcast that sort of that does like 20 minutes sort of, they're from the This American Life people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They did a thing on the Ouija board and the origin of it, and that's a really good episode. Just check that out as well.
What's the synopsis of the origin of the Ouija board?
It's kind of like it was. It used to. It never was. If I'm trying, I'm going to butcher this. It never was like really an occult thing. It was always something that was developed by. It wasn't like something like that. Someone took the idea. And someone just designed this.
It never existed in history.
From my understanding, again, I listened to it
Milton
a long time
Bradley
ago.
Or whoever
it wasn't Milton Bradley. They bought it eventually, but some guy did it.
Right.
Or
sort of like religion, you say.
I mean, that's kind of what I say. I think that's totally plausible. Just slap these two things together 100%.
Right.
Squeegee.
I used to date a chick named Ouija.
Does someone call their daughter Ouija?
No. I'm fucking around.
But I don't know how it ties into the first film, though, other than
It's the same house.
We watched the trailer beforehand, and it had some of the same scenes.
It seems like it's almost the exact same movie, but now maybe they wanted to go back and do it a little bit better, maybe?
Right, maybe they got the original script.
It's Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, just not nearly as entertaining.
Right, maybe they got the original script that they had for the first film and then just rewrote it.
Sure.
A conscientious Hollywood studio.
Yeah,
wow,
they just really want to.
Look, there's one thing about Blumhouse Pictures that I'm really enjoying as well, is that they've gotten a reputation now for doing low-budget horror films. They're doing the new Key and Peele movie, the key part of the Key and Peele movie, Get Out.
Okay.
And the whole thing is that and they did my favorite film from last year, The Gift, as well.
Oh, well, okay.
So their whole thing is let's do horror, but very low budget, but basically make it as good as you can within the budget you can make it. And if you do well, you will reap the benefits and you will be profit sharing. So the filmmakers get to profit share in the films if they do well.
That's great.
That is very good.
Yeah. So I'm kind of enjoying the Blumhouse, and they're sort of turning the Hollywood game on its head in terms of what they can do for so little and still turn big rewards.
Yeah, because I gotta say, I think as far as, and this is without revealing anything, but I feel like the level of which you saw the evil spirit, how much you did, was the perfect amount. I thought the scares and the half scenes of what it actually is, and when it's finally revealed, but not and then it's never gratuitously on screen even after that. I really appreciate the restraint. Which could be a budgetary thing, but also I think that helps it.
Well, it was budgetary, and I was actually kind of surprised because I didn't realize it was PG-13 till I got there.
Oh, I didn't even, yeah.
I was kind of okay, so that means that, right out of the gate, to me, that means it's not going to be as gory. Language is going to be,
psychologically scary.
Right. Or so we hope.
Right.
It definitely was for the baby that was in my audience last night. Thank you.
You had that problem too. Huh?
Yeah. Why is this happening?
I don't know. I think Bon Jovi would call it bad parenting, but
yes.
That's.
I had an opposite experience. So when I saw this movie, I've never done this before, and this was super
this is the
cool.
First time. This has never happened to me.
This has never happened to me before.
It
was my friend who loves horror movies, Matthew Marchetti. He does it's a movie matinee on Instagram. He basically does
as long as it's not
review.
A podcast.
No, it's not. He does written reviews on Instagram about low budget or just lesser known horror films most of the time.
Right.
He loves horror films, so his wife for his birthday rented out a theater this morning. And me, him, and 30 of his friends got to just go sit and enjoy by ourselves Ouija. And
wow.
And I do have to say that is the optimal way to experience this movie, going with a group of like-minded friends, only you guys in the movie, because it was the perfect balance of talking to the screen and reacting, and then maybe telling a joke that would be reminiscent of Mystery Science Theater, and everyone laughing, or it was just a very communal, wonderful experience. Because this film, it's got problems, of course it does, but if you get in that the reason I think it might not be a good film, but it's a good horror movie, if that delineation sort of goes back and forth, is it allows you in a group of like-minded individuals to really enjoy it beyond what I think it probably deserves outside of that context. And I don't know, I think when you can have those moments with it, I don't think for instance, I don't think if we went and saw, I'm trying to think of something else that's The Accountant, right? I don't think if it was this same group of people going to see The Accountant, it would have been nearly as fun.
Right. And do you want to know why I think that is?
Sure.
Because I think Mike Flanagan, the guy who directed the hell out of this. He really did. He really I felt you felt the work behind the camera going on. I felt like he was
Did he write it as well?
He did write it as well. Look, there are some.
He's a better director.
There are some problems with the script towards the last third of it, but I really did. I was kind of impressed by the way this was actually put together. I was like, wow, this guy's really going for it. And obviously it's a low budget film, so it was he didn't have too much he could do, but what he did was really good. Now, the only part for me that, before we get into spoilers, is the part that I felt when the movie started losing me is when we did see the demon for the first time.
Oh no, I liked it.
I was like, it's cliche to say, but it was kind of the Jaws theory of filmmaking, which is that the minute the shark loses its power once you can see it.
But, I really got to give him, the filmmaker props, because it's just nice to see that he's giving Zoom work outside of the Flashverse. It really is nice to see that sort of happening, because it's, he's a very one note, and now he has his own horror franchise. So it's just really nice. I love the blank stare on Shahir's face, and the sort of like, all right, you dug it for the most part.
Let's just say one person in this room has a nerd pop culture podcast, and the other does not.
You do, actually. It's just in a different wheelhouse, Shahir.
Right.
No, I really, I liked seeing it. Because I liked the design of it, but then I also liked that it went away. Like, you didn't really see it again.
Yeah.
You kind of expected to, and then maybe not. Then there's one sort of scene where, sort of a lot of them do a thing.
Yeah, I just preferred the build-up of not seeing it, and in the moment when you did see it, it lost its power.
I can understand that. I was really enamored with the actual design. It was simple. But it also, this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, SVP, because you're sort of the aficionado of horror in this room. The way that, so the design of this monster, and this is slight spoilers, but it's just an all black, almost like a gooey looking demon type humanoid creature. Mm-hmm. But its mouth, much like Zoom, is almost, it's stretched, and it's not sewn together, but it's like almost like strips of it is connected from the top jar to the bottom jar. So when it opens its maw, or not a maw, it's just like it stretches the flesh or whatnot.
Right.
Now, I like horror movies that tie in, this could have been a generic demon at all, but the whole thing, even though I don't know if they hit this point precisely, the whole thing is about stopping the voices and what happened to these people in the house to turn them into these demons or release these other things. It all has to do with stopping voices and sound.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the monster reflects the problem and the torture that sort of went on beforehand. It's all very it's all one thing. Even there's a moment where someone sews a doll's mouth shut because they think it would help a thing. And there's a lot of the same iconography through the cause, the solution, and the monster. And I like the fact that they were all together. That's a staple of what I consider a good horror narrative. I don't know. I mean, I've just noticed. That was the first time in a long time I've noticed that.
I mean, the other film like that recently that I did like, but I actually think it's weird because that other film that I'm thinking about, The Babadook, is more critically revered than this will ever will be.
Of course,
yes.
But I have to say, I think I enjoyed this more than The Babadook.
Interesting.
I think The Babadook.
SVP just fucking.
It's weird.
What?
And I have to go back. Is
that because you just hate the kid in Babadook?
I'm not a fan of that performance in particular.
Right.
But what I did like about The Babadook is I think The Babadook does a really good story, a good job of tying scare to story. It felt like there was a good connection there.
Absolutely.
But the thing is exactly what you're talking about earlier, Matt, which is that I watched this with an audience and watched it with a big audience, and and I watched The Babadook on my own, and The Babadook just didn't scare me. It didn't, I thought it was a well-crafted, good film, but it didn't give me that immediate visceral thing that I'm looking for in a horror movie. Whereas this, and it may just be because I watched it in an audience, but it may also be because I do think the director directed the hell out of this movie, that it actually worked for me.
My viewing experience was in a crowded theater opening night, and
with a baby.
Yes, and there were a couple of babies and a group of teenagers and the whole. I mean, you apparently watched this in what is probably the most optimal setting.
Yes,
and I, on the other hand,
I'm sorry, dude,
was living on the other side of the spectrum. There, I mean, so to that end, I'll say that had I watched it with you and your 30 friends there, I probably would have walked away with feeling slightly better about the movie and life in general, and people and parenting skills. And
there were no babies in my screening.
And that's fantastic. So the other trick with me sometimes is that I can't always trust my own feelings. And what I mean by that, is
this a psychology session, or
let me finish,
or a love song?
Yeah.
What I mean is, I can sit through a horror movie, and because I've watched so many of them,
yes,
I sometimes have to kind of figure out, right, am I not scared because it's not scary, or am I not scared because I'm desensitized?
Right. I mean, you've written, 4 horror novels at this point?
Yeah.
I would call you an expert in the field, by the way, pick up Brookwater's Curse 1, 2, and 3. And what's the name of the serial killer novel?
Killer Genius.
Killer Genius. But yeah, there can be a desensitization of it.
And I think... sorry, go ahead.
No, what I was going to just close out with is just the fact that, so I'm watching the movie and other people are jumping around me. And of course, the babies are crying at certain points and other stuff is happening around me. And I'm kind of like, ooh, I'm just like, ooh, okay. All right. I see what you did there. All right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like.
You know how the sausage is made.
Yes.
But the thing
is
is
a problem.
When the sausage can break the barrier, and that is a poor metaphor, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. But when, like, for me, The Conjuring, for example, is a movie where I know exactly what the story beats are going to be in The Conjuring.
You beat the sausage? I'm not quite...
I don't know what happened to the sausage.
Okay.
The sausage is in places it shouldn't be, okay? Let's just move on from the sausage.
Yeah.
But when a movie can go beyond, what the beats are going to be. We are all movie lovers in this room. We all know exactly how movie structure works. We all know what's going to happen. We know how the demon is going to come through at some point. You cannot watch this movie and not think that.
Spoiler alert, you hold the little placard thing from the Ouija board up to your face and use it like a monocle.
Yeah, and not just any Ouija board. Oh wait, no, any Ouija board.
No.
So basically, if you had glasses that were like the wrong prescription, you could probably do this.
Yeah, but they need to be in that weird spade shape.
But I agree with you that the thing is, for me, is that, again, I don't think this film broke any new ground. But I did think that it was playing in the right field, if that makes sense. And I think the experience of seeing it with an audience who are shouting, who are kind of like jumping at the right moments, who don't have babies in the audience, I think makes it a worthwhile, fun experience.
And let's talk about that field you're mentioning. So I would put this movie in the genre of, like, speaking of children, just on the screen, not in the theater. Creepy fucking kid, demonic possessed kid, right? Like, so there's a ton of these movies. Ton of these movies.
Yes.
Can I ask you guys a question? Especially Shahir, because you have a child. What is it from a human standpoint that there has to be something innately terrifying about children for all of these stories to just have childlike terrors in them? Like, I'm just noticing there's such a trend of, like, the evil child, the possessed child, like the kid waking up in the middle of the night and standing at the foot of your bed, but kind of asleep, but not really. And people are highly unnerved by this. So what in the public zeitgeist made us so fucking scared of kids?
I think it's two things. One is that kids are the opposite of horror. So the idea that they could be filled with, that they can do terrible things, is, it's kind of like why Chucky is scary, because he's a doll that isn't supposed to be like that. So it's kind of the opposite. But the other side of it is, and being a parent now, the thing that I think you only learn when you're a parent is that you're always trying to figure out what's going on in your kid's head.
Got you.
Like, when you're a kid, you think your parents know everything that's going on in your head and that you're an open book. But when you're a parent, what you realize, you have no idea what's going on in their head, and you're spending the whole time trying to figure out what this means and what that means and what this means. And
maybe, as they're younger, and this could happen when they're adults too, but like you probably do, correct me if I'm wrong, but you like put inference on things. You especially when they're little, you put sort of like, he does a thing, he or she, your kid does a thing, and you're like, oh, he did that for that reason. And you're guessing, and the guess could be educated, but you still have your own biases that are then making that assumption.
My favorite right now is like, oh, he loves this song. I was like, he doesn't know what this song is. He's just like, he's just bouncing up and down randomly, and it happened to coincide with the song.
I just wanted to ask because I just noticed, I'm like, there's such a trend of the terror little kid. And
it goes back a long way, and you could point to like the Japanese, the Ring and Ringu and Dark Water, and I think it probably even goes further back than that. The Omen. Yes. The Exorcist.
Yep.
Which there was like a real nice like sly reference to The Exorcist in this film, which I really liked.
Where was that?
It was when the priest is coming up to the house. The camera tracks through the car window, and we hear like a little piano riff, which sounds like The Exorcist. And
I didn't notice that. That's great.
He looks up to the house in the same way.
I did notice that. I don't know if it's a special ability you get when you join the clergy, but he just parked in the middle of the fucking road. Like he just did. He parked his car in the middle of the road.
Listen, if you're going to track a camera through a window, that's the place to park.
Listen, I want that. That's a benefit that I'm interested in.
Also, the clergy do. I believe they do get some sort of
special parking privileges.
Okay, that's good.
They also can't have sex with
in heaven.
Anymore.
Oh well,
we can't have sex with women, but we can park here for religious reasons.
All right. What can you park where for religious reasons?
If you live in Brooklyn, you might be willing to make that trade. I'm saying to get a parking spot.
That is very true. All right, so let's get into spoilers. So we've danced around it a bit.
We've danced around the demon.
Yeah. Why don't we?
Doug Jones.
Why don't we? How does this movie start?
It starts with some fake seances, which you knew that it was a fake seance. You know, like this is the structure of this movie is that these people.
Yeah, so it's the Xander family, and you see they run a business. They have like the Madame Xander's whatever the hell.
Yeah.
No.
But she never takes any money for it, which is
which is so funny. And then she's sad about her bills. It's like, yeah, because you're not charging for it, idiot. No, so it's Alice Xander is the mother, and then Lena Xander and Doris. Doris is the little one. They all together sort of run a scam seance business. Now, the mother tells the daughters that it's okay because they're actually helping people through stuff. And you kind of get it, especially because she doesn't take money, but that's what we just mentioned.
Well, she didn't take money in that one instance because they scared the hell out of her.
Yeah, they almost gave one of the guy a heart attack. And
exactly.
And so Doris, the youngest, is convinced that they're actually doing something helpful. And obviously, Lena is like, no, we're fucking scamming people.
Right.
Yeah, so you witness this and everything seems sort of like whatever.
You know right away that from the structural point of view that this is a scam and nothing they're doing is real, even though the movie's kind of like, is it a scam? Is it not? Is it real? And then you reveal it.
Right. And then after they do their days of scamming, Lena goes off and sneaks out at night to go to a party where she is introduced to a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of Ouija.
Fun story. That's how he impregnated my wife.
What? Wait, who?
Alcohol on a Ouija board. I don't know.
That's how you did it? Yeah. I thought you said that's how he, and I was like, who is he? This has gotten fucking weird on Halloween. Jesus.
Just never do it in a graveyard. I'm just saying that from personal experience.
Right.
So this is a good point to bring us back. I really liked that this was sort of a period piece. I mean, you didn't see much of the 60s in it, but like dress and soundtrack. I like that this was set then.
I liked like the little digital touches they did. This is clearly a movie shot on the Elixir or the Red or some digital cinema, but they did like cigarette burns on the corner of the screen. You know, to kind of like, you know, and like you'd see like a little
opening credits. The graphic was very neat.
Yes. Yeah, a little misalignment. Yep. You know, it's a nice touch. Nice touches.
Yeah, so Lena goes to this party and they're playing the Ouija board, and I thought, okay, this was the most. I keep saying Ouija. I always say Ouija, and I'm really trying hard to say Ouija because that's actually how it's pronounced.
I always say squeegee.
The squeegee board?
Yeah, the squeegee board.
There's a friend who's never in this movie again who steals this scene entirely. I don't know the character's name, but it's three girls and one guy, and the guy has it's a love interest for Lena. But this one other girl, after anything ever happens, it just goes, oh my God.
Oh my God.
And it's just really good comic timing, and like it's a wonderful scene, and it kind of does the fake jump scare that you're expecting it to do. The mother breaks in at the end. But I really liked her. I don't know, like,
and then you don't see her anymore.
Yeah, which is fine. I get it, but like, I don't know. That was just a sort of
a quick comic relief.
Yes.
Oh my God. And then back to business.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So let's see. Lena goes home and says to her mom, she gets in trouble. Her mom picks her
like
up.
Grounded and whatever.
Yeah, grounded.
Didn't seem like she was grounded that much.
No.
It seemed like she was fine.
How do you discipline your daughter when you're scamming people out of money?
Your moral compass.
The great moral dilemma.
Yeah. When I figure that out, I'll have franchises. And she says to the mom, like, we should add one of these to the act or whatever. And then she goes to the store and sees one and she gets one and she brings it home. Right?
And hilarity
ensues. So what happens next?
We've got the first seance with a Ouija board where we suddenly realize that the young daughter in this family,
Doris,
has some special ability, or we see her get possessed by something.
Oh, that's right, because the
while not
mother
at
is trying to do it, breaking one of the cardinal rules, which is don't play alone, don't play in a graveyard, and always say goodbye. Those are the three things. Also, no one ever says goodbye in this movie.
Yes, that's right. Not one goodbye.
But we see the little girl get
answering, like the little girl's upstairs, the sisters are upstairs, and the mother's downstairs, like trying to. She's like, the mother's trying to turn it into a scam.
So and so the rules of this demonic possession are: you need to go to the store and purchase a board game that hasn't been invented yet, and that's what's going to get this devil, this demon, back into the world.
Well, this is what I'm. This is. I don't mind that because I mean, if we want to get into sort of occult stuff, anything can be an occult thing. Like anything. Like I'm looking around this room and like everything here is mass produced.
Like an iPhone could be.
But no, but it can
because this laptop.
In a way, yes. Like the occult, all it is giving importance to an object in a lot of senses when you have occult-based objects. Yeah. And just because we live in a world of mass production doesn't make anything. It's in my head how the occult works, whether it's real or not. Anything could be. So I don't have a problem.
Is this like the Simpsons, the haunted toaster?
Sure. I just don't have a problem with it being like a mass thing because the power.
The toaster's been laughing at me.
The power was the little girl, not.
I get what you're saying, but I guess the notion is the Ouija board, if handled a certain way, can act as the conduit.
Yes,
right.
Or at least that's the way I feel the movie is explaining itself. Funny you should say that because I actually do have the. Is it Milton Bradley or is it Parker Brothers? I
don't remember who owns it,
but it's. I actually have one of those at home.
Right. And you'll never play it again.
And no, well, I actually never really played it in the first place because, until I got to be a certain age and met guys like you, I didn't really have anybody that I was going to be like, hey, so, I mean, shit, I grew up in a black neighborhood, half the stuff
you didn't bring that to the park? Like, what do you?
No, half the stuff I still talk about, everybody's like, man, what you talking about? So, like, that does I tend to keep a lot of stuff to myself even now, but, but it's funny because after I bought the board, I remember saying to myself, this thing has fucking Parker Brothers on it. Why am I even like, and I just put it away and I haven't really messed with it since. But that being said, I do understand what you're saying, that really all it really takes is belief.
Yeah, right. And that's how the function of a Ouija board actually works is belief. It's but
nobody science, in the scene has belief, and it happens.
The little girl does.
Well, no, but she's not watching the Ouija.
But the little girl believes. The little girl believes, and this is set up in the beginning that what they're actually talking to spirits, but they're helping the message along.
Right.
So she automatically believes. She believes she can talk to her dad instead of God. There's a setup for that. Like there's a lot of small setup moments that make this belief structure of where the power comes from makes sense for me.
Look, when I watched it, it didn't break the movie for me, but it is kind of silly when you think about it. The spoiler alert for the rest of the film, we find out that the devil is from World War II and was involved in some sort of Holocaust-like torture back in America. But it's kind of silly when you think about it that the way to conduit that is from a game that's invented 20 years later.
Well, it was
well, that's because they broke rule number 2.
Which is don't play it in the graveyard.
That's right.
And it turns out there's a lot of bodies in this house.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to a Dr. Mengele stand-in, basically, that, like, obviously the U.S. gave, whatever privileges to come work for the government, but then he murdered a bunch of Jews in a basement here. Jesus. So,
something you never thought you'd have to say.
Yeah. So I love that it turned into like Nazi shit.
Nazis, yeah. It's fun.
And the occult and Nazis go together very, very well.
Yeah, like that movie Dead Snow. What was it? Or
Dead Snow. Or they're
Nazi
frozen.
Zombies.
Yep.
Funny, my first thought was Hellboy, but
yeah, also true. I mean, look, Nazis, everything, and also actually Hitler. But the thing I sort of thought about at this point. So the mother is trying to turn it into a scam. That's how when this sort of happens. Like she's putting magnetic dust in the bottom of the things, and she has like plates underneath so she can move it around. Blah blah blah.
Which I thought, as soon as you watch that, you're like, wait, you're gonna see her legs move.
I know.
This is the worst scam.
It's the worst. Yeah. So the little girl starts actually being able to use the Ouija board correctly. And the sister and the mother witness this, and then they sort of add it to their repertoire. The mother believes that now the daughter is an actual conduit because her mother was a conduit, and she's like, maybe it skips a generation. I'm like, okay. And Lena's having none of this. She's like, this is fucking crazy. She tried, and the daughter tries to, or the mother tries to like disprove it a little bit by like asking like, where did you find out that I was pregnant with whatever? And it spells out shower.
In the shower.
And then so she's like, oh no, this has to be real.
So then we're all on board.
I'd like to pause going back through the movie here real quick. Something we didn't talk about in the beginning, and I feel like it's very important. SVP, you talked about your brief history with the board. Shahir, do you have any Ouija stories? Like, have you ever used it?
No, I've never used a Ouija board.
Wow, we should have gotten one for this.
The closest I've got is that. Remember there was a board game called Nightmare or something like that, which you played with a VHS tape. And
that's not quite the same.
That's not quite the same. That's about as close as I got to a horror board game.
So the Ouija board, the way it works, I mean, you guys might probably already know this, listeners at home, but like when everyone sort of touches it, you put one or two hands, depending on how many people are playing, and you ask it a question. And it's supposedly, with the way human physiology works, is if someone twitches in a direction, the rest of you, if you're just lightly touching it, will move in that direction. It's sort of like this weird sort of like help response thing.
Yeah.
I have tried it a bunch when I was younger, and it never fucking worked for me. Like I've had people tell me,
because what happens if no one in the room can spell?
I mean, it's the truth. But like,
instead of the house,
and I'm an awful speller. So, but like, I always felt bad. I felt like there was something wrong with me because like, my brain like wasn't I wasn't on the same wavelength enough with people to like.
Is this the same theory of hypnosis as well? Which is
kind of like, well, it's or mass hysteria or anything. It's all very tied to a group mentality, whether that's a ton of people or just a small group in a very specific, intense location.
But that's the case with all psychic phenomena, right? Like it can all be explained by basically being able to allow your, like by the medium basically giving you basic, like simple clues that you can identify with, like, oh, you missed someone. Was it someone you loved? Oh yeah, it was. And then you kind of like follow on from that.
Yeah.
I think South Park does a really good riff on this. Back with one of the
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're fucking smart as shit anyway. So no. Yeah.
So I never played with a Ouija board. I don't know much about it. I think the barrier for me to like believe it would be some mythology around the board would make me believe it. Like this was the Ouija board that summoned the ghost of Hitler or something like that. Buying one off the shelf and playing it, I'm going to be like, I'm pretty sure this is not going to work.
While I do think it works in the narrative context of the film, I think it is a blatant sort of cash grab on the property. Like they wanted this thing to be something you can buy in a store, so people go see the movie, remember the game, and go buy it in a store.
Hey, look, at least it's better than the Battleship movie is all I'm going to say.
Touche.
At least they did a better job than the Battleship movie.
All right, so what else happens? The little girl gets harassed at school.
But it turns out she's got demon powers now, which can make you like slingshot.
Well, we didn't quite get to the point where she thinks she's talking to her dad the entire time, and it turns out to be this other. Well, she talks to a lot of different people. There's some tortured people, like a dude named Marcus, and then there's the.
Marcus is the guy.
No, Marcus is one of the tortured people because she writes out. Eventually, she starts writing in Polish,
right?
And Marcus is one of the people in there. Like he was tortured to death and blah 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 blah.
Right.
The doctor, I forget the doctor's name, but she
Just
eventually
call him Mengele for now.
Finally, she does it alone again on a graveyard and doesn't say goodbye, and that's the trifecta. And the scene where she gets possessed is very scary. Like the thing reaches down her throat, and you don't see it at first because whatever, and then like she falls backwards and does the sort of float thing, and then goes down and like twitches, and it's fucking creepy as shit.
Yes, that is pretty bad.
I gotta ask one question. This is the only scene where we see the Devil's Doctor, which is what it's labeled as, and credited to the famous Doug Jones, who has been in every motion capture movie for a while. Speaking
of Hellboy.
So I'm just going to say, is this the only scene Doug Jones appears in? Like, he turned up just to, like, stand
I'm sure
in the
he's sort of, like,
shot.
sideways a little bit. And then also, I bet you all the mocap, when there's a bunch of them near the end, is all him, too. So he's not in it a lot, no.
He's just, like, kind of like, hey, Doug Jones, let's get this guy. Like, there's basically one motion capture guy on the planet, him and Andy Serkis.
And Andy was busy.
And Andy was busy doing Planet of the Apes. Doug Jones.
Yeah, he actually, Doug Jones, I follow him on Instagram, actually, and he mentioned that. And also, there was something that didn't make the movie, and it was him, and he just It was on his Instagram page. It's him as the doctor.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah,
so
that
you
would have been
actually
nice.
saw scenes of him as the doctor.
Right.
That would have been cool. I would have liked that.
Yeah. Didn't make the cut, though.
There's one thing I should preface before we continue on in the movie. One of the, apart from the third act, which we're going to get into, I was not that thrilled with the mother, the actress playing the mother.
What else has she been in?
So I just watched her in a show called Easy, which is on Netflix. It's a Netflix.
That's what it was.
Anthology show, and I really liked her in that. And she's been in apparently in the Twilight season.
I like anthology shows.
Like the Twilight Zone.
Like the Twilight Zone. Well,
Black Mirror.
And Black Mirror is fucking great. I got to watch season 3.
Black Mirror is great. Hey,
but we're sorry.
Tales of the Dark Side's on DVD.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
But
along
again,
with Friday the 13th. Sorry, go ahead.
So I think she's a fine actress, but I feel like she didn't hurt this movie, but I didn't feel like she actually gave it any extra dimension. And there's a point, and to the point where, and I don't know if it's bad writing, but there's a lot of crazy shit happening with her daughter towards the end of the film, and she's just kind of taking oh yeah, okay, that's interesting.
She has a weird, almost preternatural calm about her as an actress, just in the stuff I've seen her in.
But it works against this movie.
Yeah.
And I think comparatively, in The Conjuring, Vera Farmiga, who's the lead actress in that, actually brings a lot to that role, which is a fairly thankless sort of
I think
women in peril kind of role.
Annalisa Basso, who plays Linda, or I keep saying Linda, Lena.
She's pretty good.
She was good.
Yeah.
And that little girl was good too. Lulu Wilson. Lulu Wilson fucking killed it.
Elizabeth Reza does any disservice to the film. I think she's not bad, but I don't think she brings anything more than what's on the page. And it's kind of one of those things where I think and a different actor might have given this a little bit more life.
So in moments of peril, you don't feel that her performance was intense enough.
No, I didn't think she kind of captured, and again, I'm not sure if it's the writing, the directing, or her performance. She didn't capture the sense that my daughter is in trouble, or my family is in danger. And I felt like that, to me, for all the plot machinations that happen in the third act that are weird, and I'm oh, what's going on here?
Right.
The thing that doesn't carry me through that is the sense that this mother is trying to save her kids.
I disagree.
Right.
Even in the beginning when Mikey, fucking Mikey, I think he likes it, comes over, the love interest who's a senior.
Yeah.
And Lena
Watch out.
is a sophomore. They have a nice moment where she brings him in and does a fake palm reading, and she's very protective and whatever. I think the way I took her performance, especially when shit starts hitting the fan with Doris, is she's so happy and convinced that the quote magic is back to, or whatever, the realness to her shit, that she's just overlooking everything. And she asked the one question in her brain. She's yep, this proves that she's real. And then she's talking to my dead husband and everything's great and I can really help people. Now I used to lie.
But that's what I mean though, isn't it? Isn't that kind of, for a person who actively goes out of their way to scam other people on the basis of psychic phenomena, to experience it for the first time,
I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to quote my longtime Guy Code compatriot Charlemagne the God and say life is all about the buying and selling of dreams, and she bought into this dream. If you, and I say this to anyone. Any of us in this room, if someone found the right thing and a very convenient way to convince us, if we want to believe it enough, we will just do it and start acting probably out of against better interest of people we care about. So I didn't disbelieve this.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is I didn't see the sense of oh shit. This is actually happening. I just kind of got more of the this is happening.
She had the oh shit moment when they proved it, and then she was now I don't know.
Shower.
I guess I didn't have the problem.
Again, I don't think she's a bad actress.
I did have a problem with is the fucking priest.
Oh, really?
He just was the blandest Blandy Blanderton since Blandtown.
Right. So maybe we had opposite, because I thought he was okay.
He's just oh, whatever. And it's just the fact that he was too good and helping her get away from bullies at school. And then just fucking, I was oh, okay. So they're buttering him up. Mikey's obviously going to die because he has a fucking Y at the end of his name. Yeah. And I'm just
what?
That does it.
Mike, why was he Mikey? He's a grown fucking, he's literally 17 years old.
If he was Michael, he would have lived.
I wouldn't have guessed his death instantly.
I think I guessed his death by the fact that he is a tertiary character who's like popping in, and the daughter is clearly not a fan of her.
Yeah. So Doris scares the shit out of him once. That was the line I said in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that monologue. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
That was good. I have to admit,
I thought it was
had I a daughter, and that was something that came up, and I think I'd be a little unnerved by that. Like, just wait, you want my child to do what?
I mean, but like, if you want your kid to act in a horror movie, things
but, so obviously, then of course.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nope moments. A lot of characters pull nopes in this. Like, it's basically like they'll be walking somewhere, they'll experience something that Doris is doing. And it's funny because that was a running joke that happened in the movie theater. Like, there's a moment when she's writing the letters and she's like not looking at what she's writing and she's looking and going, and Lena walks to the door and everyone like right in the theater was just like nope, and she turns back around when Mikey leaves after the monologue, nope, and like it's just there's a lot of nopes.
There was the biggest nope is like every time they put the Oculus up to the thing up to their eye.
Yep,
I was just like everyone in the audience was like, just put it down. You don't need to see what's going on.
Right.
So and a side note, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this film, but like one of the other things is that sort of proves that Doris is possibly talking to the father is like they find money in the basement and like that pays their bills and like that's okay.
And again, that
was a magical Disney moment.
Yeah.
It comes off as kind of like oh well, look, here's some magic money in the bill. You know, like it.
So the priest catches on and like because he outsmarts the demon at a Ouija seance. And he calls up Lena and the mother Alice upstairs away
he
from.
didn't really outsmart him because if he really outsmarted him,
he would have lived.
Well, yeah,
but no, because the whole thing about it was he's like, we already know the answers to questions when we ask them. So if she has some sort of power, which she seems to, she could picture. So like he asked her the middle name of his dead wife and she said Lynn, and it turns out it's not, but he thought about the word Lynn really hard.
So he psychically outsmarted her.
Yes. I like that theory because I don't know if you guys do this or if I'm just fucking nuts, but like I will.
Both are possible.
Okay. Yeah. If you're walking down the street and you see someone either good or bad and you have a thought about them, like a very attractive woman or you know, if you have a bad thought about somebody on the street and you think it and then you're like, fuck, I hope that person's not psychic. And then I'm like, I've sort of just apologized in my head to that person before. Is that just me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, the idea that like you can pick up on that sort of stuff and that, like I like that.
I'm kind of 50-50 with that one because
you only psychically apologize if it's really warranted.
If it's really warranted.
Right.
By the way, guys, my black cat Zoe, who was born on Halloween, just came in the room. So happy Halloween, Zoe.
I loved how she silently meowed when you said, "Does anyone else do this?" And
yeah.
Like,
meow. Yeah.
Zoe's got your back.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. So yeah,
we get into the grand finale.
Let's do it.
Which is where we realize that Devil Doctor is possessing everyone. So now this is what I was confused about. Was the father in the house?
The father was in the house, but the father. The way I looked at it is the father was in the house, but the father was outnumbered.
But so the father was sewing.
He was kind of useless.
The father was sewing the doll's mouth shut
to give a clue.
Because he wanted the other daughter to sew the other daughter's mouth shut.
Third act falls apart.
Yeah.
So what is the sewing like?
Okay, so the victims of this evil Nazi doctor were silenced so much, their vocal cords ripped out, their mouths sewn shut, their tongues cut out, so that he could do his experiments in a town and not have anyone hear anyone scream or contest.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
So that's why the mouth iconography, like I said before, that's why the older daughter has the dream about the mouth going sewing shut.
I'm there.
That's why the father is sort of giving the hint of
at that's why. I got it.
Okay. I was just going down the line. But here's where it sort of falls apart for me, and it does something that a lot of horror movies do that I dislike. Mikey comes over, gets fucked up, he dies. That's great. He has a great moment where he hangs himself after hearing the whispers of the little girl. Very creepy.
He didn't hang himself.
Yeah, he did.
I thought the little girl hung him.
Well,
I took it as, he got hung.
I didn't think he hung himself.
Oh, I did, because I thought his people started doing evil things or weird things once the little demon girl whispered in their ears.
Right.
So I figured she just told him to go hang himself, and he hung himself. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
That works.
And then they get chased all through the house.
But he's still active. He can still do things.
Oh, no. She made him do that. There's a part where, like, to separate them, after they make very smart moves to stay together, like, she tries to separate them. I think it's after the priest dies, trying to do, like, a little ad hoc exorcism.
I liked that.
That was nice.
A nice touch.
It's so funny. It was like a bungee jumper. The corpse of Mikey comes down and grabs one of them and throws him away, and then you don't see like it again.
That was actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
And so they get in the basement, and they're like whatever, blah blah blah, and the daughter gets the idea from the father in another flashback to stop this whole thing. He has to sew the little sister's mouth shut.
Now, but was that the father or the devil doctor?
The father. The father did that. But here's the thing. This is why it doesn't quite make sense. So it's supposed to, like, the father's telling her the entire time, oh, like, you got to do this, in a weird sort of way.
I would love a dad being, oh, you got to sew your mouth.
Come on, just do it.
Sew your sister's mouth shut.
So she does it, but then it doesn't do anything. Like, because Lena is also a conduit. She just doesn't know it.
That's why I thought it was the devil doctor telling him to do it.
No, because Lena, the whole other thing is Lena's a conduit as well. They're both conduits, but Doris leaned into it because she's a child, and Lena was sort of fighting it. But then she's still a conduit. But the thing I didn't get, that it was sort of, the movie broke its own rule, is maybe it was already open because of the Ouija board. That then all of a sudden she could just possess whoever, like the demon doctor could possess whoever, and it wasn't just the doctor; it was the doctor and all of the torch. Or
so
you know
they were
what?
all in on it.
This is a question too. Was it ever the doctor's ghost, or was it all of the people that were tortured so bad, demon spirits, like the evil spirits at that point, because they've been tortured so bad?
Well, I would have said the doctor, had they just kept it to the one Zoom-looking character jumping into the little girl.
But then while she's sewing the mouth shut.
Right. Then a bunch of them show up and grab Lena.
Yeah.
And that kind of that was very vague.
They also refer to each other, like, whenever the demon talks, they always say we. It doesn't say I, because like there was a thing when she was like, the mother's like, take me instead, and she's like, we'll take all of you, and it's like, oh, all right, well,
yeah,
cool. So then. So then Lena gets possessed, and in a moment of twist, she stabs Alice through the heart with a knife, and then eventually gets taken.
It wasn't you, Alice. It was never you.
Yeah,
Lena.
yeah.
Sorry.
And then she goes to a mental institution.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, no, we've all been there.
Yeah. Whenever I stab someone, it's not you, it's me.
Happy Halloween, everybody. So. Yeah, and then, like, she's there and, like, crazy, but, like, still talks to the ghosts, and then, like, the sister's back, even though she can't find it. So this is my problem with modern horror movies.
Okay.
They all have these fucking obtuse bullshit, we couldn't figure out an actual ending, so we're going to end it in every way and no way sort of feel to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no resolution here at all.
Oh, there's a complete resolution. Go see the sequel. That's what the resolution is. Like, let's go. We're gonna make another one of these fucking things. That's the resolution.
Well, but like, there's no.
Wait, are you telling me the Marvel theory of movie making doesn't apply here?
Marvel movies have endings; they just have tie-ins, my friend. This didn't have an ending, and I liked this movie. I did. It just didn't have an ending. It didn't. It ended.
It was like the demon is still out there, and we're gonna come back to this. This is the Friday the 13th seeing Freddy's hand. Jason's hand opening up at the end of the movie.
But at the end of Friday the 13th, like, you have characters sort of that you care about that sort of, I mean, I'm not saying the good guys have to win, but you have people that, like, lived through it. This is just like nothing.
No,
like,
and that's, I mean, I'm saying I'm not being facetious. I'm saying that this is a movie where they're trying to build a franchise. This is clearly the sequel.
And I understand that, but you can end it. You can still end the story and continue the franchise with an "I'll be back" moment. This didn't do that.
It had the "I'll be back" moment.
Right, but it didn't have
closure.
An ending. It didn't have a closure to the story I just watched. It just had the whole story with no ending, and then an "I'll be back."
Wasn't the closure to the ending of the story is that they all died, apart from Lena? She killed everyone.
But then they go to this mental institution for far too long for it to just be a "I'll be back" moment. Like, it's too long of a epilogue.
The thing.
It's a long.
It's a lot. The thing that I did, even if it was confusing, the thing that I did like was that the story moved in a different direction. Like, it actually took a turn where it jumped ahead in time and she was, like this character that we thought was going to be the final girl essentially ends up being possessed by the devil. And look, again, I don't think it's a great ending, but I like that the story took that transformation and ran with it.
I will give it the fact that its subtitle is Origins of Evil. So the Ouija board unlocked the evil, and then it was just the evil, not the Ouija board. Like, right? And although then she cuts her hand to make her own Ouija board out of blood and like a glasses thing to sort of like keep talking to her sister or some shit. Like
she would have had to spill a lot of blood to make that whole Ouija board. Yeah. I was like, hey, you gonna get through all the letters?
I don't know. It just
and a yes and a no
for a movie that set up its world so well. I think it really did some decent world building. It just sort of threw it all away to do a hasty "we'll be back" franchise ending. Yeah. So I don't know. I just didn't like that. I just not to say you shouldn't see it. In fact, we can get sort of into final thoughts now. I think you should see it. I think it's a great Halloween movie. I think after you're done fucking going into a diabetic coma with all the candy you're going to consume, I think it would be a good time to go see it and go see it with friends. I think this is the kind of film that works better with a comfortable audience. And I don't know. I dug it. It was just the right amount. It was the right group of people for me and the right season. And I liked it. What about you, Shahir? We're going to give SVP final thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's a great movie, but I think there's enough going on in this film that makes it worth watching. And I think the perfect context to watch it in is in a movie theater at night with a lot of people in the room, possibly on Halloween. And you can't go wrong. It's certainly no Conjuring. It's no The Descent. It's none of those films, but it's not bad. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. And I do think, again, I think the director did a really good job with this material that he wrote, but he actually did a really good job of putting this together. I thought the scenes were really well constructed. I thought what he did with the camera was really nice. So I was kind of like, this person seems to know what they're doing. I kind of want to see what they do next. So yeah, I would recommend seeing it under those circumstances. I think the viewing experience at home, just watching it on TV is probably not going to be worth your time. But in a theater, sure. I enjoyed it for that reason.
SVP?
As I walked out, I realized that my overall feeling on it was that I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
Right.
It was, it provided some thrills here and there. But like I said, I found it tad predictable. Mm-hmm. I kind of saw a lot of shit coming ahead of time. But like you guys have pointed out, watching it in a group of people, whether that be 30 of your friends in a really ultra-controlled environment like Matt did, or even just the pedestrian way that Shahir apparently did, which, of course, I guess you didn't see it in Brooklyn. So,
Queens.
Oh, see, there you go. My mistake. So, other than that, it's like you said, it's a fun thing to do for Halloween, but I wouldn't go into it expecting like a groundbreaking classic by any means.
Of course. Yeah.
Like you would have told everyone to go see The Conjuring, but you won't tell everyone to go see this.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Well, guys, this has been the only podcast about the film Ouija Origin of Evil.
He does that very well.
Is it the origin of evil, though? It is the origin of evil.
Well, it's the origin of how Ouija
of a
boards
franchise.
are
No, because
evil.
we haven't seen how the Ouija board actually got made. So that's the origin of evil. We need a prequel to this prequel.
Ouija board.
The origin of the origin of
the origin
evil.
of the origin of evil. The original evil.
I don't know. Nah,
the Weevil.
I think what you said at the beginning, Shahir, about it just being a horror movie that has the product tacked onto it is very apt. SVP, buddy, when you're not helping us actually have credibility to a horror film review, where can folks find you?
Well, Facebook, of course.
Yes.
Several different pages with my name on them. There's the Beef, Wine, and Shenanigans page. Mm-hmm. There's Twitter and Instagram, both at SVP Thinks. That's pretty much
Where
it.
can people purchase your wonderful novels?
Oh, that's at laughingblackvampire.com.
Yes.
And
great website title.
Thanks. And just a quickie heads up announcement. I'm actually in the process of releasing a children's book.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, my child, what child age?
The child age probably I'd say about 8 and up.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
A few years away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get it. We'll put it on the shelf for him when he can reach it. Excellent. Good deal. That's exciting.
Yeah,
I like it.
Slightly scary children's story.
Of course, I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, well.
What about you, Shahir?
You can reach me at shahirdaud.com. That's shahirdaud.com, which has my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I don't know why you'd want to look at that stuff, but it's there if you want it.
Wonderful. You can find me equally exciting at MatthewKroll.com, Skeletor the number 4 PREZ on Instagram, or Emperor MSK on Twitter. And of course, you can reach us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or at onlymoviepodcast.com, our slightly almost still new website. We've had it out for a while. I'm very proud of it. It's looking very robust.
Yeah. That's what I think about when I look at websites.
How robust is this?
When I go to Twitter, I'm like, this is a robust.
This is a robust interface. Gotta love it. Or you can reach us on Facebook, or Facebook's really where we argue a lot. So that's always the most fun.
As opposed to the actual podcast.
Of course. Well, this one we didn't really. And then also, iTunes, please leave us some freaking stars if you feel that you are inclined to do so. It helps us out greatly, and we really appreciate it. And if you do it, we promise we won't haunt you and your family through a common household board game.
Because anything can be possessed, right? So we could come in through your ear holes right now while you're listening to us and be all up in your business.
I mean, I don't know if that's... I don't...
Is that scary? You really need a break, man.
Bye. I own your soul.
You can have it back.